Welcome to episode 3 of the Nooniverse. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Tristan.
We're going to start with the drama rundown. I'm sure you all are super excited to hear us talk about dramas again. So I want to go over what I'm watching. I want to go over this series that I just finished that's called The Boy Next Door. It's a Korean drama. It is let's see, if I had to explain the plot, it is literally two guys that live next to each other that are in college. Some things happen where they have to end up living with one another because circumstances, whatever. And that's the whole plot. They start liking each other. Never, in my opinion, in this series during this whole we're living together thing. So I have in my notes, like, what did you like about this series? Literally nothing. There was 0 things that I liked in this series. Let me make a note here that Jung Gi-young is literally the whole reason that I watched this series, because as you know, I'm watching Search WWW, and he's the main character in that one. This is not good. The whole series is one big joke. It watches like Gravitation. And that was so painful for me when I was a teenager, whenever the hell that came out. I mean, it was so long ago, I don't remember. I'm sure there's some of you that like Gravitation, and if that's the kind of BL you like, then you should definitely stick to Gravitation. But like, that is not the crap that I want to watch. It is not interesting at all. There's no romance. There's no plot moving forward, in my opinion. Gravitation is like, to me, it was like written by a 15-year-old girl about two boys that like don't even really like each other. I don't know. It's really strange for me. I know Gravitation's one of those series that everybody loves, and if you're in the BL community, you're supposed to just love it, especially for manga, because it was one of the first very popular series. So for me, I will say my first BL in manga form was Loveless. That one's super old, and I'm going to plug it here because it is really, really good, and it has plot development and interesting characters and a world that I care about. Gravitation in anime form is nothing and terrible. Now, in manga form, Gravitation is not that bad and has interesting characters. I'm getting off on this tangent because The Boy Next Door was just awful. Tristan hasn't watched it yet, and I told her, don't even waste your hour and a half to watch it, because it isn't BL. It is literally like watching just every single trope that they can possibly throw into a series into this hour and a half that they've got. There's no kiss scene. There's no development with the two guys. They live together, and they basically just adjust to each other. It isn't like they actually fall for each other. They basically just adjust to living with the other person, and then they're like, oh well, I don't really want to live by myself anymore because I'm used to living with this other guy. And that's the whole show. So no, it is not good. It's too long. Believe it or not, it's an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. It is too long, and it is not good. Junkie, he deserves better, and I'm really upset that he was in this series, because it was just, it's not good. The other series, I did not get, my weeks are a little jam-packed. So this week I did not get to watch the next couple episodes of Search. So I'm putting that one on hold. I did, however, get through something really, really quickly. That's an old series that's called So Much in Love. It's also known by Nyamruk, which I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it. I finished it in like one night. The reason I finished it so quickly is because I fast forwarded through like almost all of the side couples. So I was telling Tristan, it's not good. Like, it is good, and I'm excited for season 2 because I like 2 couples. I like the main couple, which is Ongsa and North, and I like Mai and Won. And if you don't like Mai and Won, then I feel like there's literally 0 reason to watch season 2 that'll be out at some point. Who knows with Corona? It's wreaking havoc in Thailand right now, so who knows when that'll happen. But Nyamruk is a series about a whole bunch of different things. The best way I can describe it is, it's like all those, Tristan, what'd you call them? The like, it's not one of those anthology series, but I'm pretty sure they're either high schoolers or they're really young. Isn't there a bunch of series out now, YY or something?
Oh, Why Destiny?
Yeah, Why Destiny? Aren't they really young in that one?
Not that one.
Okay. Okay, so maybe I'm thinking of the wrong one, but So Much in Love is about like 6 different teenage couples, and it's really strange. One of the couples is in love with a ghost. Another couple is just abusive in my like I don't even want to get into it. Like it's really strange. I do have to say, like, Mai and Juan are the only reason that I stuck through it. I really liked Angsa and North too. North's character is just fantastic. The weird thing for me for this series is they're all really young. So I know you guys have heard me talk about how Puin is 17. He's the main character that's in Fish Upon the Sky, and he's really young. And he's 17. And I'm pretty sure that I don't think they're 17 in Niamruk, but I do think they're like maybe barely in their 20s, like maybe 19, 20. So, you know, you have to take it with a grain of salt. I would say that Niamruk is not terrible, but it isn't something that like I would probably recommend to somebody.
So for me, I'm going to just go ahead and throw out, this is a spoiler warning if you have not watched Vincenzo, because that's all I'm going to be ranting about right now. I just finished episode 14, so there are 2 more episodes to completing the series that are out that I just haven't gotten to yet. But Vincenzo is fantastic. And I know Rachel hasn't watched it yet because she refuses to watch it.
Yes.
But I need to vent, so I'm going to vent.
Songji Gong. I don't actually know his name.
Babyface?
Babyface is what I call him every time Tristan brings him up.
Yeah, no, he's not the reason that I'm watching Vincenzo, but so in the last couple of episodes that I watched, some shit went down. So the main villain, which is the guy from 2 p.m., ended up ordering his lawyer lady side villain, whatever, to kill Vincenzo's mother. And they kill his mother. And he gets super mad. And I'm talking about like stone-faced killer mafia mad. So he goes after the guy that killed his mom and chases him to the villa that the lawyers and the main villain are partying at, because
as you do.
Yeah, of course. They're reveling in the fact that they have one-upped Vincenzo and that they have killed his mother. And Vincenzo goes in there chasing down the killer and fighting all the bodyguards to get through to the villa, and basically throws the killer into the fray, and everybody in the room is like freaking out because they're like, oh my god, what is going on? And then she just comes in there with his gun and he's like, you killed my mom. Like, I can't say that. I want to say stuff. Basically, he's threatening them to now that he's like, you just went above and beyond what you were supposed to do, because we were playing chess, basically. We're playing this cat and mouse game that we're always just trying to one-up each other, but you had to go so far as to kill my mom. The game is on now. Like, I could kill you right here and now, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to draw it out to where you're humiliated. You lose your confidence, and then I'm going to kill you. And then he walks away. Well, outside, like he shoots the guy from 2 p.m.'s ear, and then he walks away. And so then now it's the mafia game. He is trying so much more to get back at them for Babel and the lawyers, where he locks them in a room because they're having this auction event. And he locks them in the room and puts a cake in there that is a bomb, and then puts one of his men in there that has a bomb strapped to them, and is threatening everybody in this room to where they're like, well, you just are supporting Babel, and if you support them, we're going to kill you unless you get down on your knees and beg for forgiveness and say that you're never going to support Babel again. And everything is being watched via video camera. And the bomb strapped to the guy actually does go off and kills the guy. So everybody's like freaking out. and then the cake goes off, and it ends up not being a bomb at all. It's just spewing out icing over everybody. I'm just like, what the crap? So then the guy from 2 p.m., who I can't remember his name from the actual show, Juwon maybe, ends up taking, he ends up in jail for laundering money. And his brother, who has been taking over being CEO while he was incognito, I guess, has been abused by him like forever. Jung Han-so, he's getting, so the brother, the 2 p.m. guy, is getting taken away in cuffs, and he tells his brothers like, oh, well, you're going to need to take over while I'm gone. I'm going to be in jail for a little bit. And Hyun-so like mans up, and he's like, yeah, no, you just want me to be the fake CEO. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm becoming smarter than you. You're going to go to jail. Because Hanso is actually on the side working for Vincenzo now. And it is, it's so good. And if you're not watching it, Rachel, you need to be.
No, thanks.
No, it is so good.
I just have such a problem with Song Joong-gi. I'm never going to say his name right. The Song couple. I got away with that for so long, just being able to say, oh, you know, the guy in the Song couple, and then I didn't have to worry about his name. But no, I can't with his face. There was a TikTok video about it, but I can't with his face.
Yeah, TikTok is referencing him to being the baby from Baby Boss.
Because he is.
He's
just got to be face. He's even, I think actors even made that comment. That
no, he has made the comment that if he could change anything about himself, it would be his face, which I understand.
I'm not being a jerk. I'm just saying he has a really bad baby face for me. And I say this as someone, so we have a movie night group online because, you know, Corona, again, I said that last time, but we have a movie group online on Fridays that occasionally, like once a month, we watch movies, and we watched Space Sweepers, which Song Joong-gi is in. And I liked the movie. You know, it was just funny, weird enough that I liked it and enjoyed the hour and a half, and all my friends did too. But like, I cannot get over his face. If I had to watch it for more than an hour, I would probably not be able to watch any of his stuff. I barely got through Descendants of the Sun, by the way, which I would recommend to people, but I am going to say his face is just hard for me.
Again, I'm watching it for the other two guys.
Yeah, she's watching it because of the 2 p.m. guy. Let's be real.
Yes, I am. And as I said in episode 1, I was talking about what I disliked about the show, and I couldn't see a romance between Vincenzo and Hyung-cha Young, which is the lawyer. But so far, actually, they haven't pushed a romance on them. And that makes me really happy because I didn't want it to happen. They're not good as a romantic involvement. And they've made it to where they work well as partners. He's killing off people, and she's like, well, you know what? Those people killed my dad, so I'm going to go with it. And I'm perfectly fine with this type of revenge. And it's a good partnership. And I'm looking forward to seeing the last finale episodes that I'm going to go watch right after we finish recording this, because I really need to watch it.
I mean, if I could get past his face, I would probably be watching it as well. So, you know, whatevs, it's fine. So if we're talking about things we're watching together, however, we're still watching. So we are watching 3 things together. And this episode, we don't have a lot of notes for Lovely Writer, because if you've watched the newest episode, again, this is spoilers, although I think this is going to be out much later than the next episode will probably be out before this episode. But if you're watching, this is spoilers for episode 10. The tea ceremony, there was just so much filler, right? I said that when we were watching it too. I legitimately thought about just fast forwarding through some of it, even though we were at Tristan's house and it wasn't my television. I was thinking, I was like, God, can we just
you should have the remote.
I should have the remote, because otherwise I probably would have fast forwarded. It was terrible. Like, the tea ceremony, while very pretty and very interesting, is totally unnecessary.
Yeah, see, it's so unnecessary. I don't even remember the conversation that he was having with his mom.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. There was so much filler in this episode. There was like one or two good scenes in this episode, and then that was it. I am super glad that the parents are accepting of what's going on with the two boys, but like, just they are trying to extend the show out further than I think they actually need to. I have not read the book. As I have said the last time, I am in the middle of reading it as it's translated. So like, they're trying to stick with the same schedule as they don't want to go past where the show is, which I think is really dumb because I just want to read the book. Just give me the book, whatever. So, whatever. That's neither here nor there. Some of the things I did like about this episode, I loved the scene where Nubsib came over to Gene after...
Oh, when he was on the phone?
Yeah, after Gene apparently doesn't know how to hang up the phone. Yeah, that's fine. Everybody just casually throws the phone to the side and doesn't hit disconnect on a phone call. That's what I do in my life.
I mean, to be fair, though, it was good that Nubsib was able to listen to Gene's father give approval for their relationship.
Which I'm sure is the whole reason they did it, but it just was really strange to me.
A little unrealistic.
It was a little unrealistic. So I did like the scene where Nubsib's like trying to get Gene to kiss him, and Gene's like, "We're literally outside my house. How about we not do this time? Like, why don't we just wait until we're in private?" I feel you, Gene. Like, I don't want to kiss in front of my parents.
And the mom was taking pictures.
And the mom was taking pictures, which was super cute. Yeah, so Nubsib's mom and Gene's mom totally shipped the two boys together, and it's really cute, and I love them. They're adorable. The only other thing I'd say that really moved the plot forward in this episode is, of course, when Gene or Nubsib, who was doing the Instagram Live? Gene was doing the Instagram Live, and Nubsib just came in the background like, "Hey, where you going, guys?" I'm like, maybe we shouldn't let the fans know that you guys are basically living together now.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of backlash, and we already saw a little bit of it in episode 10, where he was getting the comments that were being being posted, and then Tum was asking Nubsib about the live.
Right. And, then again, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched episode 10, that fucking beach scene, excuse me for my cussing, but that beach scene with the girl taking the pictures.
It's so sad too, because that scene was adorable, and then it had to be, of course, I mean,
ruined.
you know it's going to be ruined. It has to be. It's episode 10.
They had too much happy for it not to go back down.
Too much happy. And it was so cute.
Yes.
I really like Nubsib. I just gotta say this. Nubsib plugging his own sunscreen. It was Cal's brand of sunscreen that he's plugging in the show. And that just made me super happy.
Yeah, Cal's adorable. I said this last episode. I'm going to say it one more time. Somebody on Reddit made a comment that I totally relate to, which is everybody's over here like talking about Cal's muscles, and I'm over here like total simp for Up. Like, when are we going to see more of Up? Like I love Cal, don't get me wrong, and I do like him in this series a lot, but Up is just so good. Like his facial expressions, like everything. And I'm going to talk about an interview that he did in my last little segment, but he is so good. Like, and I want to talk about, you have to listen. Like, I want to talk about Up in actual interviews. And if you get the chance, definitely give that a listen too.
It's okay. I get Cal, you get Up. It works out.
That's fine with me. I have no problem. No problem with that, as long as I don't have to share Up.
No, you can have them. Another show that we're watching together is, of course, Fish Upon the Sky, which we raved about, of course, in our last episode, because it is so good.
I was right, bitches. I just want to say it. I gotta say it.
Yes. So you did predict that Nan knew that
Mork was
doing.
Like, I knew. This jerk, like, he totally knew that Mork was going after P, and that scene is so freaking adorable when they come out of this theater and P runs away because he's totally embarrassed because of everything that happened in the when they were watching the movie, and Nan's like, take it easy on him, and Mork's like, I know, like, Mix is adorable anyway, but that scene like melted me. Like, it absolutely melted me. Tristan was making fun of me because my notes for this episode are like a page long.
Yeah, so I have like 5 bullet points, and she has like 15.
It's true because I love this series so much. It's not even funny. So, a couple of things. My new favorite characters of this series are going to be the yaoi girls because they're the best. Oh my god.
So their point of views from scenes that had happened previously were probably one of my favorite things that we watched in this episode.
I feel totally called out, guys. Like, these bitches are calling us out. Like, if you haven't watched this episode, you will not understand until you watch it. But these girls are totally calling out BL fans. Like,
Yes.
it's happening, and I'm here for it because they're adorable. Number one, and number two, the scenes are so good. Like, they turn what is obviously like uncomfortable moments for P into heart-wrenching, adorable, sexy scenes between two lovers, and it's just so delicious.
I'm gonna need to go back and just rewatch it a
Rewatch
little
them.
bit.
I rewatched that cinema scene several times, so
Yes.
totally understand.
So what she's talking about specifically is the popcorn scene in the theater. So P, of course, is trying to walk away from Mork, and
He's trying to walk away because so they sit down in the theater, and Nan has to take a phone call, and so they sit down in the theater, and P wants to save a spot so that Nan can sit next to him, and instead Mork sits next to him, and so he tries to get Mork to move, and Mork's like no, and so Nan's like P is like fine, I'll just get up and move myself,
and then Mork, of course, pulls him back, and which results in the popcorn going everywhere.
You know,
and in his
as it does.
hair, you know, because popcorn sticks in your hair. And Mork is trying to pull the popcorn away from his hair, and P tells him, you know, don't touch me or don't use your hands. So Mork, of course, leans over and takes the popcorn from his hair with his mouth. And we are the girls sitting in the back in the theater seats behind them watching this happen. And I love that scene. It's so adorable.
And so there's several reasons why it's good. Number one, my song starts like almost immediately as soon as P starts falling into Mork's arms. Like, it's just, it's so good. And then Mork's little like twitch of a smile when P's talking to him and telling him to leave him alone. And then like at the end, there's a literal moment where P is like obviously trying to calm his stuttering heart.
He is so catching feels.
He's so there for it. And I mean, I'm here for it too because they're too much for me. Like, they're too freaking they're too cute. And I do want to make a comment. I read a really cool little article on Reddit this week or this past week, whenever this episode came out, that when they're in the movie theater, right before Nan shows up, when Mork is making fun of P and trying to hold the ticket away from him for the cinema, there's a poster in the background, and the poster, according to one of our Reddit translators, says the larger text says, "How can you be sure if the person you like is the right person?" And then it literally says below it says, "The right person is who exactly?" And it's just so delicious. Like, it just adds so much more. Like, I'm really sad that GMMTv didn't subtitle that because they really should have, because it just adds, like, Thai people get so much more context, which we're going to talk about later, but they get just so much more context in the episode than we do. So it's just so good. And the other thing, obviously, is the confession was adorable and absolutely not expected in episode 4.
Yeah, no, so of course we're skipping over all of Duan's parts, and we're not ever letting Duan plan anything
Ever again.
Skipping over all of that, but yes, the confession, I think, came out of nowhere because
it did.
It's episode 4.
So yeah, so I don't know if came out of nowhere is the right way. I agree with you, but like, they've been moving really fast on this series, and I want to make a comment that leads into this. So if you haven't watched these episodes, this is spoiler alert, because I feel like this is a big one. You need to watch the fish upon the sky clip very closely. When P gives it to Nan in the bathroom in this episode, If you
pin?
the pin, yeah, it's a clip, but it's a pin, whatever.
Yeah.
If you watch it, the guy that is actually at episode 1 that's kissing
with the balloons,
right, in episode 1 that's kissing P, has a little mole under his lip on the left hand side of his face. It is absolutely not Nan, and it is not Mork. I don't know who it is, but if you look closely at the little
the lanyard on
tag,
the back, he has the pin.
He has the pin.
Yes. So that's going to be interesting to see who that ends up being. Who did Nan give that pin to that is now kissing P?
Yeah. I need people not to kiss P. P is Mork property at all times. And I say property, I mean lover. I mean whatever Mork wants him to be. Like, I'm still in this boat of I'm adopting Puin, and he is mine now, and you can't have him.
He is ours. Thank you.
He is ours.
Thank you.
And you can't have him still.
So if you're not already watching Fish Upon the Sky, you're missing out, and you need to immediately go over to GMMTv on YouTube and watch it. It is fantastic.
And don't forget the clip. We were going to talk about the clip.
Oh, yes. We bought the actual Fish Upon the Sky pin that P gives to Nan in the bathroom.
Because we like the show too much.
Too much. It is available for purchase on the GMMTv shop. So we, of course, had to buy it. And we're looking forward to getting that in. It ended up being, with shipping cost more than
Surprise.
The 2 pins together, of course, because it's international shipping. But they came out in US dollars to about $51 for 2 pins plus international shipping.
So I also want to say, for people who have problems like I did, I tried to purchase it myself, and I had multiple issues. So I have a credit union in the United States because we're based out of the U.S. So I have a credit union in the U.S. and it did not like my credit union. I thought about just doing it on a credit card, but I got distracted by other things because I'm ADD. Whatever, it's fine. So I thought about like doing it on a credit card, but then Tristan and I were doing show notes today, and we were like, well, she's like, well, I've done it before and it's not a big deal. It isn't a big deal, but they have really weird requirements.
Yes. So the first time, I have purchased from their shop before because I purchased the gifted pin because they redid the pin for it. And the first time I tried to purchase it, it came back saying, oh, well, no, your bank basically was like, no, screw you. So I had to go through a loophole to try to get it the first time because you have to verify it with your bank that
That's
you're
crazy.
purchasing it. And then this time it actually changed to where they send me a verification code.
Oh, that's good.
To be able to put in saying, yes, this is me.
I saw
am
her at
buying
the table,
it.
like pushing all these buttons, and I was like, whatever, she'll figure it out. I'm
It
sure.
takes a while, but needless to say, we got it, and I'm looking forward to getting those pins because they're super cute.
Yeah, no, they are adorable. So if you like the GMMTv stuff and you want, a little memento, then I would say go to the store. I have every intention of buying the box set because I've said this almost every episode now. I'm not a fan of ATOTs. We know I'm a terrible person. So I'm not a fan of 1,000 Stars, but they have the box sets. Apparently GMMTv does box sets for almost all of their series.
Yes, I have a lot of them.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing from Tristan, that's normal. So if they do Fish Upon the Sky, guys, I am absolutely buying it in a heartbeat because it's so good, and it is, you are doing yourself a disservice if you aren't watching it. That's how good it is.
Yeah, I'm waiting for GMM to come out with the Tanhan Chanlati box sets, which
That
they
would be
haven't
good,
come
too.
out with yet,
Oh,
which I'm
that's weird.
surprised because they've already announced the 1,000 Stars box set.
So, and that's my thing about Fish Upon the Sky, because I was like, well, are we sure that they release with every series? Because Tanhan is not on there. So
Yeah, because
we'll
I
see.
mean, I've got, let's see, Dark Blue Kiss together, the Sodus box set with seasons 1 and 2.
She has a really pretty book of Sodus too.
Oh, so I have the photo book of Sing to Chris.
Yeah, they're
One
adorable.
of many.
If you haven't
so
watched,
cute.
Sodus, I highly recommend it. It's on Netflix still, I believe.
It is
isn't
still
it?
on Netflix. Yes.
Yeah, it's really good. It's one of those like again, GMMTv series, so it's non-problematic. The boys are, it's very chaste. The boys fall in love, and like, there's like one kiss scene at the end, but it's just really good. There aren't any tropes in it, weird like BL things that cause problems. So I would recommend Sodas. I still have not watched S, by the way.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know. I need to catch up
You
on
need
that.
to watch that and the special episode in Our Sky.
Yeah.
'Cause it's really cute.
And I need to watch Oxygen. There's a lot of the older series, guys, that I just haven't watched yet because I'm still trying to catch up. I'm brand spanking new to the BL community. So to Thai BL, let me rephrase.
I was about to say, like, not all of it, because you've been watching BL since forever.
Forever. But I am brand spanking new to the Thai BL scene. So for me, it's all brand spanking new. But I'm going to say it one more time. If you're not watching Fish Upon the Sky, you really are doing yourself a disservice. It is so good and absolutely worth it to spend the time to go to YouTube, because it's absolutely free to watch because it's GMMTv. Watch it. Have some fun. It's goofy. The actors are adorable. I'm all here for the Pond Puin ship whenever that sails. I'm here for it.
On a completely different spectrum of shows, we are still watching History 4, which I know is becoming very controversial, especially on Reddit.
It's been that way since episode 1 because if you don't know, I'm going to put a note here because Tristan may or may not say this, but there is a rape scene. It is I say rape scene, and that's really heavy-handed. It's a non-con scene. Dude is drunk and does not have the wits to say yes or no to whether or not he will have sex. So
we discussed this before, and we said that
We did.
because Youngjae asks him beforehand,
who he
"Do
is.
you know who I am?"
He
that
said
it
yes.
kind of
He was
changes the
still
consent. He was still drunk.
So
yes.
my thing is I'm here for it. I'm not disagreeing that it's not a good series and that it that the scene wasn't good, but Young Jie gets Xingxi drunk to have sex with him. That is still problematic in many circles. So if that's not your thing, maybe you should skip over our notes for History 4 because the two of us really like it. I like it because the second couple, Tang Tang and Li Chang, are my favorite.
On the last couple of episodes that we watched, which if you're watching it on Viki is 7 and 8, if you're watching it somewhere else, it's 13, 14, 15, and 16. Something that happened that I was very pleased with was the Make Our Days Count crossover from History 3.
Yeah, she says that. But if you've watched MODC, she's talking about the owner of the bubble shop and the high school kid, not the main couple who do
No.
not deserve mention.
It's only because you're bitter.
I am a bitter
Everybody's
old
bitter
lady.
about the ending of History 3. Anyway, super glad to see them in this series. When he popped up the first time having dinner with Li Xing, I was like, it's my dude! Because he was my favorite character from Make Our Days Count. But I do want to mention, so in this last episode that we watched, which was episode 8 or 15, 16, there is a scene between Youngjae and Xingxi that happens that, one, we didn't get enough of them in the last episodes at
The
all.
brother obviously wasn't there for the last episode, right? On episode
Yeah,
7,
episode
I don't
7,
think he was.
he wasn't in there, like, at all. But there's a scene that Xingxi is teaching him how to flirt, basically.
Oh my god.
This
Guys,
scene.
it's so good. Oh my god, this has literally been the first time where I think I've thought that like the brothers could be my favorite. And I call them brothers; they are stepbrothers. And Reddit has this weird thing about incest with History 4. They are not related. There is no relation. They are stepbrothers. Their parents married. And they were from prior marriages. I don't know why Reddit's really young. We've said this before, but I don't know why that's a thing. But there is a scene where Xingxi takes Young Jie. I say young. I think it's young, but he takes Young Jie to like this other area that's kind of out of the way, and he teaches him how to flirt. I need all of that all the time. Like the whole like, see, that's why I like BL. I was thinking that when we were watching it today. I don't care about the damn sex scenes. Like that's not my jazz. I like the flirting, and with het couples, you only get like a certain amount, and like it just isn't the same. I don't know how to explain it. It just isn't the same. Like there's just a lot of there's just a lot of weirdness behind it for me with het couples. It's fine and it's good, but with BL series, it is really good. There's a whole moment there with the brothers where the older brother is like literally leaning in and telling the younger brother like he's breathing on him, and there's a moment where the lights, you can see the lights and his face, like you can see goose flesh rise, and his breathing quickens, and like the scene quiets, and it's so good. And that's why I like BL. I don't give a rat's ass about the sex scenes. That's not what it is for me. For me, it's about the moments that they have together like this. And that hit every single note that I would absolutely require in a BL. And Tristan will tell you, the two brothers are not my favorite. Tang Tang and Ling Chang are my favorite, right? The two straight guys, straight, I'm doing little air quotes, straight guys are my favorite couple. But this episode was so good, and I would highly recommend you watch it. Again, if you are okay with the whole brothers, number one, stepbrothers, and number two, there's a very, very hard rape scene at the very beginning. I think it's episode 2.
Yeah, there is a reason that if you're watching it on Viki, there is a disclaimer in front of every single episode that it contains mature content that is not necessarily okay with younger viewers. But yeah, this scene was much needed, especially since we did not get Youngjae in the last episode.
Yes,
and
agreed.
While I'm looking forward to the confrontation between the parents and the stepbrothers and what their new relationship is going to bring about with that family dynamic.
The preview for the next episode is awful for both couples.
It's going to be such a hard episode.
You get to a place where you get so happy that obviously it has to start going downhill again. So we will see how the controversy kind of plays out in the next episode.
Yep. Hopefully we will remember to talk about it the next episode.
Yeah, we're going to leave you guys hanging. No, we'll try to remember to actually say something about it. So for our episode 3, I brought it up with Tristan that I really wanted to talk about the cultural differences between our American shows and Thailand shows, and also extended, of course, to Chinese and Korea and Taiwanese shows, in case, some people don't really understand the cultural differences. I will tell you, there's still stuff, as someone who is brand spanking new to BL, there's still stuff, Thai BL, I should keep mentioning it's Thai BL that I'm new to. There's a lot of stuff there that I didn't know about. One of the things that really was new to me, and I'm sure I'm going to get this pronunciation incorrect, but I want everybody to know about it. I want to put a warning here. This is going to be talking about Tarn Type. Tarn Type is a very controversial series. I do not want to talk about the controversy in Tarn Type. That is not what we're doing here. I want to talk about something that I didn't know about, which is called the Thai Kiss, or also known as the Home. Again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. I could be pronouncing it wrong. I always wondered about Mew and Gulf's kiss scenes. So for me, I wasn't sure why their kiss scenes were strange, and their bed scene was also strange to me. Let me explain. When I watch people like Max and Tool have bed scenes, they're hot and heavy, and it's quick, it's fast paced, and everything's moving really quickly, and you see lips moving and you see body parts moving, and it's all very exciting. When you watch Tarn Type, for me, it was not the same as Max and Tool. whatever series you want to call from them, whether it's Together with Me or Manner of Death. It's different. And I never understood why, because in my mind, Mew and Golf have really good chemistry. We've had this conversation before, right? That, like, I do think, even Reddit has had this conversation, that, like, Mew has really good chemistry with boys on screen, and especially Golf. You know, I'm not going to get into the whole shipping real actors. Again, I know I've talked about that in previous episodes. But Tarn and Type, in my opinion, have a really, like, sexualized relationship, right? Type hates gay people, and yet he's sleeping with a gay person because he likes the way it feels. And he literally says that in the book straight off, in the series straight off. He says, I like this. It feels really good, and I just want to keep doing it, despite the fact that I don't like gay people, and you know, I don't think homosexual relationships are natural. Again, I understand that this series is very controversial. I don't want to talk about the controversy with Tarn Type. If you don't like Tarn Type, I understand completely, and I'm one of those people that think you should just skip over this segment. But I want to talk about the kisses that Mew, aka Tarn, give to Type when they have their sex scene. And I should call it their bed scene, because thankfully they're not overly sexualized like Max and Tool are. I say thankfully, but, like, the scenes for, and Tristan I'm sure agrees with me, the scenes for Max and Tool are really good in their series and really match well and aren't, like, jarring or out of place.
Yes, because we're basing it off of the actors.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And Tarn Type, you know, again, very sexualized series, and the kisses make zero sense to me. If you have seen the episode is like 4 or 5. I don't remember which one exactly, but
First sex scene I think was in 4.
yes. And so, yeah, she would know. So Type tells Tarn that, again, this is a huge spoiler if you have not watched Tarn Type. Type tells Tarn that he wants to forget his past. And I don't know if he actually explicitly says it in the series. I'm talking about the book.
In the series, he does not.
So in the book, he alludes to the fact that he wants to forget his past. And so he tells Tarn, like, let's have sex and I'll get over it real quick.
That makes so much more sense.
Yes.
Than what was stated in the series.
Yeah, the series translated the book very strange, but that's not new. So then they get hot and heavy on the bed, and Mew's character starts closing his mouth, and his lips are pressed together, and he does this, like, gesture where he's basically sniffing on Type. And I did not understand what was going on, because, again, it's a cultural thing. We don't have anything like that. Like, it's just not something that we do. Eskimos, you know how Eskimos rub their noses together? This is the same kind of thing, right? In Thailand, they have this sniff, apparently, where they sniff their partner, and it's very, very intimate. And reading an article about the Hom, again, I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, changed the feeling of that entire scene for me, because now I'm thinking, oh yeah, like, this scene is really, like, really intimate and really, like, deep and meaningful for the two characters, right? So that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about, which was the Hom kisses, if you didn't already know. Tarn Type, again, is not a series, as I've said previously, that I would necessarily recommend to clients. What do I think I'm at
work mode?
I'm going into work mode, guys. I work too much. Tarn Type is not necessarily something that I would recommend for people to watch unless you have a high tolerance level for a lot of tropes and a lot of non-con. That is what I would say. You know, there are other things that have a lot of context that I think Tristan wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so for me, I want to talk about the titles that are being said, that we don't get a lot of this, of course. In America, Sir, Mrs., Miss, whatever, those are pretty much what we call people. In Asian cultures, it is very normal for them to call someone, if they're an older or younger person. In Korea, you get oppa for an older older male, Noona for an older female, Hyung for another older male, based if you're a male to male. And then in Thai, you get an older person being called P, younger person being called Non. We don't get that in here. And a lot of times we don't even get it in the translations because everybody in the translations will just translate them at their names.
So Tristan told me today, and I did not realize this at all, and now I'm going to have to go back and rewatch Manner of Death. But Manner of Death, there's apparently Max's character calls Bun Coon. For most of the series, I think is what you said.
Yes, which I believe means sir.
Right, like
that is very formal.
Yeah, so that is not in the subtitles.
No,
it is not in the subtitles at all,
and we miss a lot of that because you can hear that that's what they're saying, but if you're just reading based off of the subtitles, they're gonna subtitle it as the person's name.
They're gonna make it as easily digestible as they possibly can for American audiences because we're dumb. Whatever, it's fine.
Well, you do get some good subtitlers that will give you the asterisks up at the top that'll tell you, is like, oh, well, this is what they're saying and this is what it means.
That happens a lot in Chinese, I just want to say. Yeah. Because there's a lot of context that you miss.
In Chinese, calling someone gaga being brother.
Da ge, like all of those. Like, and I didn't realize, I'm going to throw in a little thing here about the books of Chai Ji Dan books, but there's so many things that you miss in Chinese, like the daga, and they have ways of like speaking to specific brothers that also allude to other things, and like all these notes that like I never would have known unless these translators were like, yeah, this is the way they do it in China.
Yeah, it's very much missed from an American audience or an international audience that wouldn't necessarily have grown up calling anybody these titles. We're not going to get it. Like, I know a lot of people, especially in the K-pop industry or K-pop fans, know Oppa. It's one of the generic ones.
Right.
And Noona, of course, we know because that's the name of our podcast. We are Noonas. But it doesn't get translated.
No.
And especially like when I started watching Thai dramas, I was like, what is what's a
no
P?
Idea.
What's a Nong? Like, and in the subtitles, sometimes you'll get it where it's just the letter P and the letter N, and they're not actually spelling out what they're actually saying. And it is a respectful way of calling someone older or younger than you.
With that note too, like I mentioned on the last show that we have a group on Wednesdays that watches K-dramas on Skype. Because, again, thanks Corona, we have a group that watches K-dramas on Skype, and none of our friends are really deep into the Korean
they're not
dramas.
nerds like us.
They're not nerds like us, and we forced
We don't force them to do anything. You forced them.
I forced them because Scarlet Heart, Moon Lovers is in my top 3. I forced everybody to watch Moon Lovers because it is so good. I have a small crush on IU, as I've said before. I've talked about her. But in Scarlet Heart, Moon Lovers, this is a woman that travels back from the 21st century to the Goryeo period, which I don't remember the exact year, but it's like 1400 or something. There's a whole bunch of princes and emperors, and like you don't speak the same way that you would in the 21st century. And so a lot of that is lost, unfortunately, with our group, because like I'm sure they're tired of me like stopping the show to make comments, but there's points where it's actually fun, where I'm over here, Tristan and I are over here laughing on video and like everybody else is like silent, and I'm like, this is funny because, and it loses the charm when you have to explain it, right?
Yes.
It's not as funny. I tried making our group watch Hwayugi, which is called
Korean Odyssey.
It's on Netflix. A lot of things are lost in Korean Odyssey. A lot of things. The translation is just not good. Even the Netflix translation is just not good.
For that end, it's talking more on the myths of Korea and the types of deities and or demons that arise from those mythological series.
It's based on Korean Odyssey is based on.
Well, that one's based off of
the Chinese book, Journey to the East.
Yes.
West?
Journey to the West.
Journey to the West. And
but so, still.
Yeah, so you can pick up things if you've read that before, but like I said, like I forced everybody to watch like 3 or 4 episodes of Hwayugi before I was like,
They're not.
there's so much in here that like is lost in context that like me explaining just literally loses the charm of the episodes. And it's a really good series, and if you've watched, maybe I'd say it's for more advanced drama lovers, you know. If you've watched a lot of dramas, then I would say, oh yeah, go back and watch Hwayugi. It's really good. I love the main actors, and the same is almost said for Scarlet Heart. Thankfully, Scarlet Heart, the only thing that's lost in translation for Scarlet Heart is the way she speaks to the emperor and the princes and her servants.
Well, because she's speaking so informally, because they're all
Right.
necessarily around like the same age. And for her, coming from the future, it's more thought of, you can talk in informal
Right.
to your friends.
And they don't have emperors and princes in the 21st century. There is, is the family, or am I thinking of the one in Japan that recently married the commoner? I'm thinking of Japan, I think. One of the emperors or princes recently married a commoner, and so that whole dynasty is being, is kind of coming to an end. I want to say it's Japan, but I may be wrong. It may be Korea. And so, Scarlet Heart has a lot of, you miss it, right? You miss the cutesy, like her saying "yo" at the end when she's
like
speaking.
adding it at the end because she's forgetting that she's supposed to be talking formally.
Speaking formally, and she's like, "Oh yeah," so it's like saying, "Hey," and then going, "Yo." It's super cute.
And in American, it's like you say something and then you're like, "Oh wait, sir."
Sir, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, you don't get that in the translation because it's definitely not in the subtitles. And when they say, "Well, why are you speaking so informally to me?" and you're like, but in the subtitles, they were just talking.
Yeah.
So a lot of that does get missed, and you get it a lot. They will ask, especially in Korean dramas, like, "Why are you speaking informally to me?"
Right.
Or "When did you drop formalities?"
And so a lot of that is Vicky. That's one of the things that I'm not a fan of. I especially prefer the Chinese subtitlers who are like, this is why they're saying this. This is the original translation, and this is the way it is, right? And they do that a lot with the books, which is why I'm super appreciative of those translators. But in Korean dramas, they just don't do it anymore. They translate it as easy as they possibly can for people to understand the basic context of it, and I feel like you lose part of the series.
So in the olden days, when we were old, fan subs did so much better at translating things to where you understood what they were saying and how they were saying it and why they were saying it.
Yes.
We don't get as many fan subs.
Nope, none.
There are some, but
not worthwhile. And I say that, but the Chinese ones are still around.
Yeah, and there are some for Japanese as well that are still pretty good. But for normal, like Viki or Netflix, you're not going to get that context at all.
So in 1,000 Stars, I just, unless Tristan wants to talk about this because it's not my favorite.
I mean, I can talk about it because I still like it. So there's a scene in 1,000 Stars where they are in an inventory closet, and Tien is talking to Pupa, and Pupa's asking, is it Pupa that's asking him, or Tien's asking him if he can stop calling him Chief, and he's like, well, what do you want to call me instead? And he's like, well, can I call you P? And in this instance, he's wanting to call him something more intimate than just calling him by his title.
And it's a really strange scene because once he says that, the like sexy music starts playing, like something's gonna happen. And you lose the context there. You literally don't know that what just happened was they're trying to get closer by referring to each other more intimately. And unfortunately, I don't know why GMMTv, because I'm one of those people, I do like GMMTv's subtitlers. I think they're actually pretty good.
They're doing very good, yes.
Yeah, but that scene loses a lot of context for me. I want to talk about the Nubsib scene where he literally, like, throughout the whole series, he basically calls him Coon, which is like saying Mr. Gene all the time. He literally calls him Mr. Gene throughout the whole series. And then there's like intimate scenes where he drops it totally and just calls him Gene. And you don't get it. You just don't get it in subtitles. You don't get it in context. You don't get it anywhere unless you're listening for it and have even basic Thai. And again, I've said before, I have just started watching Thai dramas. When did I start watching Thai dramas? I think
It was
3 months ago.
a couple of months, yeah. Because I started you with Tarn Type.
Yeah, she
my fault.
started me on
My
Tarn
fault.
Type. Well, so it's not really her fault. She gave me 6 different shows.
I did. I showed you trailers of different ones, and she chose Tarn Type.
Because it's definitely a Rachel show.
It does have a better trailer to it as well.
It's a hate to love series, and that is a Rachel 100%, right? I didn't know anything of the problematic scenes in Tarn Type. It is a hate to love show, and that is one of my favorite tropes of all time. So I immediately picked that one, and then I said, I think the second one was Theory of Love. And then and
then you actually tried to watch that. You did finish it, but you weren't.
Yeah, so I don't like
the other ones that you still haven't watched yet, which I'm going to mention every single episode until you watch it.
Oh my god!
Until we meet again, and
until we meet again. I do want to watch It States. So I really want to watch I Told Sunset About You. That's not the one that I'm problematic with. The one I don't care about, which has Up, is Until We Meet Again.
It doesn't have Up. It has Cow.
Sorry, Cow. Oh, whatever. That's even
You
worse.
would watch it more if it had.
If it had Up, I would probably watch it. So I'm sure Until We Meet Again is good, and everybody probably loves it. I am not a fan of reincarnation. It
doesn't matter. You're gonna watch it, bitch.
She's gonna force me to watch it anyway. So this is like that Buffy scene where Spike is like going out for a walk, bitch.
So that's showing her age.
That's showing her age. Like, I'm not a fan of reincarnations. I have not watched Until We Meet Again. Like I said in another segment, there's a lot of series. I'm brand new, like you guys, like some of you guys maybe. I'm brand new to the Thai drama scene, so I'm looking forward to watching a lot of stuff, but a lot of context is missed in these things. The other thing that I want to talk about real quick before we end the segment is I want to say the living with your parents is also totally misunderstood. I see a lot of people on Reddit not completely understanding what's going on. It is 100% normal in Asia, in a lot of Asian countries, and I don't want a blanket statement. It is 100% normal in a lot of Asian countries for their daughters and sons to live with their parents until they're married, and then occasionally live with their parents after they're married. That is totally normal, and especially in Korea, more so than any other place. China too, like, it is very normal, and I feel like a lot of people I see on Reddit complaining about it, it is not uncommon for Asian children to live with their parents until they're married.
Yeah, no, the American thing is, I gotta get out of this house as soon as possible. How old do I have to be to move out? I don't want to be under my parents' roof forever. And it's so not like that. So when you're watching dramas, they're like, wait, this person is how old and they're still living with their parents?
Exactly.
Like, it's nobody looks at it that way.
Right. Exactly. There are a lot of context things, that are unfortunately missed. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we wrote in our notes that we wanted to go over, and we won't be able to go over them today. But
we'll get to them eventually.
Eventually we'll get to them, but, I don't feel like you totally miss the whole show by not understanding the context. We wanted to go over it because, for me personally, it changed Tarn Type for me, I will say.
With the sniff kiss.
With the sniff kiss. I didn't understand. And that was one of those things where I really wanted to comment on it because it was impactful for me.
It does change the scene a lot because it is way more intimate. Like, yes, they're about to have sex, but then when you get into the context of what the meaning behind the certain kiss is, it does change that dynamic a lot.
Tarn does it a lot too. So
yes.
It is a very meaningful gesture on his part to type. And it's it's a little heartbreaking if you know the story too. So definitely check that out. And I hope we gave you some good context to good stuff to think about before you watch your next drama. Before we end the episode, in other news not necessarily related to dramas, we have some food for thought. I am not going to bitch this week.
Well, that's new.
Which I guess is new, whatever. Don't listen to her, guys. So I guess I am going to bitch a little bit.
You're going to bitch. It's
I am
okay.
a little bummed that Lee Kwang-soo is leaving Running Man. So I don't talk about it a lot on this show because Running Man is a variety show. It's a Korean variety show where they literally go on, and there's six, I think, actors, and they're not all actors, but there's 6 different people that go on and they do these different tasks, and it's just fun and it's entertaining. You don't have to watch it in any kind of order. It's just a variety show. It's like people in America who watch The Bachelor, right? That's basically what it is. It's just a variety show that people go on to have fun. I do not watch The Bachelor. As a side note, I don't watch any reality television that's in America at all. I'm trying to think of one that I would watch, and I cannot think of even one.
I would think it more as like America's Got Talent, but even then, because it's not a talent-based show.
It's not a talent-based show. The actors are just doing things to have fun and play around with each other. And it is a super good show. And Jin So-mi is on it now. She's brand new. And there isn't a bad person on Running Man. It is really upsetting to me that Lee Kwang-soo is leaving, but I understand he got hurt in one of the, I can't remember how far back it was. It's been a while, I want to say, and he's just kind of dealt with it. He's had this back pain that he got from an episode of Running Man. He had an accident on the show, and he kind of just has been dealing with it. And like, oh, well, I still love the show. I want to do it. I mean, this man is my draft, guys. So like, I love this dude. Anything that he's in, he's in That's Okay. It's Okay, That's Love, which is my favorite rom-com that I talked about last time. He has a smaller part. He plays a guy that has Tourette's, but it's really good. And nothing that he's been in Live too. That is something else that I recommended if you like police procedurals. Nothing that he's been in has been bad, and I'm super sad to see him go. And Running Man will not be the same, but it is such a good show that I would still say Jin So-mi is obviously adorable, and you should watch it for her too. But all of the actors on, Lee Jae-suk is also good, but all of the actors that are on Running Man are really good. So good luck to him, and I hope that he gets better more quickly without having the unnecessary strain on his back with Running Man. So I did want to make that comment. I showed Tristan, and this bitch doesn't watch videos that I send her. She talks about me in the last episode with these music videos that I don't watch that she sends me. But like, I send her these good videos of like,
and mine aren't good.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're okay, but
you don't watch them anyways.
No, it's true. We don't watch things we send to each other for whatever reason. Like,
that's because I open it and then I work and I forget that you sent it to me.
Yeah, no, it's the same thing with me. Like, it isn't that I don't want to watch these music videos that she sends me. It's just that, like, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll watch them later. Because she sends me a ton of TikTok. I don't do TikTok, but she sends me a ton of TikTok.
A lot of TikToks.
And I watch those, and they're super quick, right? They're like 30 seconds. So I'm like, yeah, I can watch those. Like, you can just browse on my phone real quick. Whatever, that's fine. But other than that, like, we don't really watch YouTube videos that we send each other. Although I did send her Pond or Puin. It was Puin. It was Puin speaking English because that boy, I still want to adopt him.
And I didn't watch it. And what happens? I come over and you make me watch it for 30 minutes.
That's correct. That is your torture. And is it really
it's
torture?
Not torture?
Is it really torture? Because he's adorable.
Not torture.
So the other thing I want to talk about is there is a really good show with 3 girls that are basically me and 3
That's
people.
A terrifying thought.
It is a terrifying thought, but I think their channel is just called Goy Natty Dream. And they're 3 Thai girls who interview all kinds of actors, mostly men. I say mostly, but I think the name of the show is like I'm Single, like What About You or something. And they just interview these guys in their car. Basically, they're driving and they interview these guys about like how their lives are, what kind of girls they date, and all this other stuff. I wanted to put a disclaimer here that they interviewed the guy, and I can't remember his name. That's super depressing. They interviewed the guy from My Husband-in-Law, who has actually been in like a long-term relationship, and it was super awkward. He had to like pretend that he wasn't dating somebody, but then he like went on to like talk about the girl that he wants to date as the girl that he's actually dating. So it was super awkward. He's super adorable. I cannot remember his name, but if you haven't watched My Husband-in-Law, it's okay. It's not something like at the top of my list, but it is cute. But he was very awkward. The reason I started watching this, however, was because Goy Natty Dream remember Brian, they interviewed Up. And I was here for it. Let me tell you, as I've said before, I'm a 38-year-old woman, and so I'm a little older than most of these guys that are playing these actors or playing these shows in the BL series. And Up is, I think, in his mid-20s. I want to say around the same age. I think Up and Cow are the same age as Max and Tool. And so Goy Natty Dream interview Up, and Dream. It's either Dream or Natty. One of them has actually dated him in college, like years and years ago. And so the girl that dated him is in the background. She's in the back seat. They've decided to put her in the back seat with Up while they interview, because they drive around while they do this. And the girls I'm telling you, this is me in two girls forms, but the girls up front are like making fun of her because she's acting like super cute and super sweet, and they're like, this bitch is in the back acting all sweet and she doesn't act like this normally. And like, it's a really good interview, and it's weird to like promote a YouTube channel on our show, but I would say that they're super fun and adorable, and I love their interviews. They also interviewed Off, which I told Tristan she absolutely has to watch because she has a huge thing for Off.
I do.
She really, really has a huge thing for Off. And that interview was like a week ago when it actually posted to YouTube. But I believe Tristan and I were talking about it. We think it's probably like right around the time when he caught COVID. So
they had to have recorded it before he got sick.
That's what I was thinking, and I hope the girls are okay, because that sucks to have to do a whole show with somebody that was COVID positive. So I hope everything's okay. But again, it's Goy Natty Dream on YouTube. So I believe the show and the channel is just called Goy Natty Dream. That's GoyNattyDream. I highly recommend it. It's adorable. Each one of the interviews is super funny, and especially watch the Up and Off ones because it's worth it. And that's all I'm going to say for my stuff right now.
So before I go into my obvious choice of talking about Kingdom, which we'll get
every week. She
week.
Talks about how I bitch, but she talks about Kingdom every week.
I'm not going to bitch about it. I'm going to just politely talk about it. It's different. I did want to mention, though, that Sing2 is now no longer contracted under GMMTv. So he's going to be doing his own stuff. I know he's got his own YouTube channel now, but I'm looking forward to seeing what all plans he's got. I know he's going to be in a new project with Max and Tool. I can't remember the name of it.
We're not actually sure if that's a BL or if it's
I don't think it's a BL. I think it's just a project that they're doing.
Right, and I think that has to do with the mixes single too. Like, all of that crap is coming out all at the same time, and I'm pretty sure it's like Boys something. I don't remember.
Yeah,
what
it might be their reaction to what they did with Boyfriends, or
right.
What is it? Boys Don't Cry or something like
exactly.
that.
Exactly. So it's not going to be. Everybody on Reddit is like super excited and thinking it's going to be a BL. I'm pretty sure it's not a BL. I'm pretty sure it's just like
they would promote it a lot differently if it was a BL. So I'm looking forward to seeing what all he's going to come out with in the future. I am kind of sad I probably won't be seeing him with Chris anymore, but that's okay. I'll deal with it. But on that note, Kingdom. We watched episode 5, and I just need to say that B2B, that's so good. They remixed Backdoor like their life depended on it.
Is that what they did, or did they just make a love song that made me like seriously reconsider my life choices at this point?
Oh yeah, so that song was definitely not PG-13.
Yeah, that show is supposed to totally be PG-13.
That
And
song
no
was
part
not.
of that song that was PG-13.
I just the direction that they took that song in when they first started the chords, when they knocked on the door the first time, was so good. And I am I'm hoping Mnet will put their songs on Spotify like they did with Road to Kingdom so that I can put them on my playlist.
I need that song like yesterday.
Yeah, I might just rip it from YouTube, but we'll get there. And then of course, Stray Kids doing B2B was really good, but not as good as ATEEZ. Can we just talk about ATEEZ?
I thought we weren't going to talk about ATEEZ and wait until like a segment together, but that's fine.
No, we're skipping over everything else that I've had to talk about because I need to talk about ATEEZ. I don't know why I've been sleeping on ATEEZ because I know for a fact that 2 of my friends have been to one of their concerts before.
That's some bullshit in my opinion.
Yeah, and I, for whatever reason, I guess wasn't into him at the time, and I'm now admitting I was completely wrong.
She was wrong.
And
I'm here for Kim Hong Jong.
The leader, yeah.
The leader with that constantly wears the dreadlocks. I'm
and
here
sticks
for
his
that.
tongue out and, bites his lip. Yeah, no, I'm here for Han. His falsetto that he hits.
San. You're talking about Chaeson, right?
San, yes. Sorry. I forget names all the time.
Yeah, me too.
No, that note that he hit in their song.
Yes, please. In the show. She's talking about Inside Kingdom.
Yeah, and it's still in Kingdom. Yes. I mean, see, segue. It's still about Kingdom. They did, what song did they do? It was an icon song. They did Rhythm Ta.
Right.
And it was so good.
It was so good. San freaking just like hit a note in his falsetto. Like he switches between his chest voice and falsetto. Like he does this for a living. And I know he does, but like I literally looked at Tristan for a moment and I was like, what just happened here?
Yeah, so after we finished watching episode 5, I swear we went on a rabbit hole to just watching ATEEZ's videos.
It's true.
And what time did I leave the other night? Like 1 a.m.?
It was like 1 o'clock in the morning.
We were just watching videos back to back to back, and I feel so bad that I have not been listening. Like, I've been listening to their songs, but like I don't know anybody's names. I didn't listen to a lot of their stuff, and now I'm just like, why? Why did I do this?
If they come back to America, I might just have to, we might have to figure out a way to get tickets. I just need all of the Kim Hong Jong. Just all of that. Like, oh my God. So I told Tristan, and I've been making her listen to it like so many times today, but Thanks is my favorite song by them, hands down. It's THANXX. It's Thanks by ATEEZ. ATEEZ. Right? And it's called Thanks. And it's literally a song about like people asking them, well, what do you want to do with your life? And the boys are like, I don't know, I'm doing it. Like, I just want to do my thing and like not worry about it and not consider it. And it's so good. Not only are the lyrics good, that whole moment in the music video where Kim Hong Jong is sitting at the desk, he does this little lip bite and he does this little laugh, and Rachel is all here. I'm talking in third person because I'm here for it, guys.
She's not really here. She's in another world watching ATEEZ videos.
Because I need all of that. It's so good. And so I really like I told Tristan, I really like Thanks, and I've made her listen to it about 100 times today. The other one that I really like is called Say My Name. Say Your Name.
Say My Name.
Say My Name. Now it's Say My Name.
Say My Name.
And they, these guys are, so in case you aren't aware and you don't watch Kingdom, these guys are apparently the youngest group in Kingdom. Okay, so they're super. I think Tristan and I looked it up, and they're like early 20s. None of them are under 20, so they're not teenagers. I still have my weird thing about teenagers, but they're not teenagers, but these guys are super young, but like they're supposed to be the like sweet and innocent ones.
Since when?
They are not sweet and innocent.
No,
Say,
they're not.
Say My Name is exactly what you think it is just by the title, and it is so good.
We did mention to each other, not to y'all, that we thought that the leader was very reminiscent of G-Dragon from Big Bang. So if ATEEZ, I know, is coming back to our area eventually, thanks Corona. Friends of mine have tickets. I don't know if they still have tickets or if they got refunded, but I'm definitely going to keep an eye out if their concert comes back around, because we're going to go if we can get tickets for them. Sleeping on
so long she's been sleeping on ATEEZ. I'm so mad at her. Like, I've been watching Kingdom and I'm like, okay, some of these groups are okay, and like ATEEZ is like blowing it out of the water every single time, literally just every episode. It has been fantastic. The sets that they've done, the music that they've done, San hitting those freaking notes is just so good. So it's worth it to watch Kingdom, and if you are looking for some new music and you like K-pop, you obviously have to really like K-pop, I would highly recommend ATEEZ. So definitely take a listen. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe. Want to learn more about the show? Follow the Nooniverse on socials so you can stay tuned for future episodes, special announcements, and much more. See you in the next episode!